Even I'm going to dislike this video. Be my guest.
Nearly 60% of our planet has been consumed by the invaders.
I'm not exactly sure what Doom Guy has been up to for the last couple of years after Samuel Hayden tricked him and teleported him somewhere after taking the Crucible from him, but Doom Guy appears to have spent most of his time sitting around in the Fortress of Doom, reading books, playing guitar, and building an admittedly nice computer setup while Earth was being invaded by demons and billions killed. For someone who only cares about slaying demons, he sure took his sweet time warming up when the biggest demon invasion since Doom 2 showed up.
We have the Hell Priest signal locked in. The target is marked.
Vega was the AI that guided Doom Guy for much of Doom 2016, up until he was shut down so his power supply could be used to open a portal to hell. Doom Guy saved a backup of him, and then installed Vega in the fortress. The only issue I have with that explanation is that Vega needed an entire Martian glacier to keep it from overheating. No such extreme cooling measure exists on this station. Other than demon slaying, Doom Guy is apparently a whiz in neural network design, and added extra efficiency to Vega's code. How to Soundtrack by Mick Gordon. Doom Guy's goal this time around is to kill the 3 Hell Priests who are keeping a blood ritual going that allows the demons to invade Earth, which to me seems like a lot of unnecessary work since Hell had no problem invading Mars on repeated occasion without such an elaborate setup. The Hell Priests all have names that sound like someone you'd read about on a Star Wars Wikipedia entry about one of the background characters in the Cantina scene. The first one is practically a freebie, with Vega teleporting Doom Guy right down to him to tear his head off. The other 2 will take a bit more work however, and only one of those 2 have an excuse as for why Vega didn't send Doom Guy directly to his location like the first one instead of his general vicinity.
The cleansing of Earth is a necessary step on the path to a brighter tomorrow.
Earth's government was infiltrated and corrupted by demon worshippers. Perhaps you could convince some regular people that allowing their child's legs to be chewed off by demons is a good thing if you packaged it with tax reform, but not with tone-deaf slogans like calling demons mortally challenged. On the flip side, I think all this government controlled by demons plot was written in response to all the Doom Marine Alex Jones videos out there, where Alex's rants are animated in Source Filmmaker while wearing Doom Guy's armor. It wouldn't even be the first meme the devs included. You have the Doot Revenant skin in this game, and multiple references to an old Doom comic that people only know about due to YouTubers mocking it. At this point, Doom memes serve as more valid lore for the series than the past games. Sometime during the development of Doom Eternal, I suspect many of the devs passed around a copy of Celeste, a hard-as-balls side-scrolling indie platformer, because the new platforming sections play exactly like that game, only in first person. They even give you glowing dots that recharge your dash move mid-jump just like in Celeste. It got so similar I started looking for strawberries to collect instead of Funko Pop demon dolls, and wondered when Doom Guy would start discussing how he copes with anxiety and depression. This is a clear as day sign that Doom 2016 now suffers from its own competence, nailing its gameplay so well there was little room for improvement, so any new addition to the gameplay was doomed to only hinder what had already been mastered. 2 legs have proven pretty useful, but once you have a child born with a 3rd leg, you quickly realize it's more of a hindrance than a welcome addition. Speaking of those platforming sections, I wouldn't mind less of them, and by less I mean none. Platforming is the biggest gameplay ward on Doom Eternal. Platforming in a first-person shooter is a well-known folly that is best at every developer who's tackled it, and id knows this, being the developer who only invented the genre. So now we get level design that looks like it was ripped straight out of Bowser's Castle, with giant spinning fire chains that exist for no other reason than to be an obstacle, and cities and installations that were apparently designed for populations consisting of Olympic gymnasts judging by the amount of uneven bars installed in them, even in Hell. I suppose platforming isn't the only ward marring Doom Eternal's skin. The resource management, yes, I said resource management, counts as a sin for the first few hours of the game at the very least. It lowered how much ammo you can carry, expecting you to use Doom Guy's chainsaw and flamethrower to refill ammo and health. I'm not going to sin the logic of why every demon is a pinata full of shotgun rounds and slabs of plate metal, but I will sin just how often I found myself completely out of ammo in the first act of the game, running around with a chainsaw that can only cut through trash mobs when not fully gassed. Once you have around half the weapons in the game, it stops being so much of an issue, but that leads you into a situation where the first few hours of the game are oddly more difficult than the rest of the game. According to this map, Australia has been left completely alone by the demons. This joke may write itself, but it has to be made. Not even the demons want to deal with what Australians have to live with every day. Greenland, however, is getting reamed. Sinning weapon progression may seem petty to you, and you would be right, but there are slim pickings for me to complain about in this game. So listen to me bitch about how ridiculous it is that Vega sends all of his drones to various locations, some of them on different planets, with a weapon mod package. It would make more sense to leave the weapon mods on the Fortress of Doom. But even the few that are there are locked behind doors and need to be opened first. How did the robots even get in those cells? It takes 2 Sentinel batteries to open each of them. Am I to believe Vega used precious energy resources to store mod packages in a cell, just so Doom Guy would have to work for them if he wanted them?
The sacrament of this world to the great Khan Maker will be made, and the energy will be restored once again.
Doomguy interrupts the Hell Priest meeting, and I would expect, given his character, use this opportunity to blow both of them back to hell in short order, and put an end to the demonic invasion of Earth, since that is the entire point. Instead, he stands there, tosses the head of the other priests at their feet, and walks around until they teleport away. I suppose he didn't want his slaughter to end too soon, even if it costs another billion or so lives.
This is humanity's chance to repent, to give service to us. You cannot resist the will of the Godmaker.
There was a certain purity in Doom 2016. It had a plot, but Doomguy clearly didn't care about it. It just so happened that what the plot demanded coincided with his desire to kill every demon in front of him. The only time the game forced you to pay attention is when Samuel Hayden locked you in his office for 5 minutes. Doom Eternal has dropped this in favor of a larger focus on the story, even switching to third-person cutscenes. The problem arises when Doomguy still puts on his not caring act when by the very nature of the storytelling method in use, we the player now have to care since we are forced to watch it. Instead of being the cool kid in class who sleeps through a lesson and smokes during a lunch break and being okay with that since we were that person, now we see it from an outside vantage point, and Doomguy comes off more as someone with a short attention span and bad forward neck posture. Essentially, the school quarterback who knows he's going to receive a passing grade no matter how much he slacks off. And with this new focus on plot comes with the realization that there is a whole lot of plot basically borrowed from Warhammer 40k. This is an awful amount of plot being forced onto a character who has never been given a proper name.
I do not have the means to locate the second Hell Priest. Your celestial locator is missing a component.
Doom Eternal has to come up with a lot of excuses for why Doomguy has to take a roundabout method of finishing off the priests. Vega cannot locate the second Hell Priest, even though he had no problem detecting the first priest or detecting the other two inside of the Citadel during their meeting. So Doomguy has to grab a celestial locator from another planet, then power it up down in Hell, which will only give him the capability of locating the second Hell Priest and not the third.
The flame belch is now ready for your approval.
Am I the only one to question the logic of setting a demon on fire? A demon that comes from the bowels of hell, where there is nothing but fire, lava, and pain? Shouldn't there be a ton of armor lying all over hell due to the constantly burning demons? Because that's what setting them on fire does. They drop armor.
You cannot kill the priests. You know our laws. Despite their transgressions against the Covenant, they are still of Sentinel blood.
Then Doomguy has already broken that law by killing the first Hell Priest, now hasn't he?
What you interfere with now is bigger than you can imagine.
King Novik seems like an important character, being both a dead ghost king and providing the opening narration, but this is his only scene. Doom Eternal clearly wants to tell a larger story, but then more or less half-asses it every time it tries by not developing a single character. Explains why there is so much reading to be found in the game. All this plot might piss off the longtime Doom fans, so better to stick it in easily ignorable pages of text. But since it clearly doesn't want people to ignore it, tries to stick just enough of the plot in front of the player to encourage reading.
It is their time to give penance. If you continue, you will bring down the heavens' wrath. You are but one man. They are no longer your people to save.
King Novik, the opening narrator, and King Novik, the character, seem a bit at odds with one another. The narrator is the one telling Doomguy to rip and tear until it is done, while this one sounds cautionary and only tells him what he can't do. He even gives Doomguy the "you are but one man" line, while in the opening narration he makes the one man thing out to be pretty badass and more akin to sending a plague upon Egypt.
I told you all to leave me here. I am where I belong. Saving your people will not bring you peace.
Hitting on that same note that I just mentioned, Doomguy goes to the Betrayer next. By all accounts, he should be a major character. His child became the icon of sin, and he betrayed the Night Sentinels to revive him, getting all of them killed except for Doomguy. So he's here in hell in exile. Says pretty much the same thing King Novik said, then disappears from the rest of the game. Hoping you read the lore entries about him and like him enough to be included in the next Doom game.
There are motion sensors and artillery everywhere.
All of the security keeping the Betrayer put doesn't mean much if it turns off the second someone walks in. I'd really like to know why the Betrayer was sitting down here in hell with the only device to charge a celestial locator. Seems strange to leave that kind of technology in the hands of someone who's supposed to be in exile.
Hear me, Slayer. When his heart is laid to rest, then his soul will be at peace.
The Betrayer gives Doomguy his knife to finally kill his son with, like he just knows the icon of sin will be revived at some point.
The second Hell Priest is located in the northern region of Earth.
I think I could have guessed that without a celestial locator by looking at that demon infestation map from earlier and noticing that Greenland was oddly saturated given that hardly anyone lives there.
Your super shotgun is nearby. a relic from your past.
Vega claims he cannot pinpoint the Hell Priest's exact location. He had no problem doing that with the other Hell Priest. Doom Guy even got a celestial locator to help him do it even better. He can, however, locate the precise location of Doom Guy's super shotgun, which is also in this base. For some reason, the Hell Priest constructed a machine that lets someone control a Revenant remotely. It's never used by anyone but Doom Guy to retrieve his shotgun, and there is little point in remote piloting a demon when they already obey orders and do what you want. Also, this is just bait to get you to at least try the pitiful online multiplayer the game offers. The super shotgun gets the chef's kiss though. I'm going to have to question the technology of this game. Who designs a switch that has to be punched in order to activate a machine? Did carnies earn themselves mechanical engineering degrees in the future and decide to implement their traveling carnival games into industrial designs? After Doom Guy beats all of his Doom Hunters, the Hell Priest, Deeg Rennick, appears in the area with no explanation so Doom Guy can kill him. There was no reason for him to be out here. He was sending waves of demons at Doom Guy from a different location for a reason, and it has already been established the Hell Priest can teleport away.
The final priest will be moved to a more discreet location, so our work can continue without further disruption.
After killing the second Hell Priest, the Khan Maker herself decides to take action, moving the final priest somewhere where Vega can't find him. It would have been a smart idea to do that after Doom Guy killed the first priest.
There is a 41.3% increase of demonic activity at the nexus of the initial invasion. That is the largest gore nest on Earth.
If Europe was the nexus for the initial invasion, why is the US the biggest hot zone for demon activity according to this earlier map? Vega sends Doom Guy off to Europe to destroy the super gore nest. I'm sure that will help, but it gets them no closer to the final priest. And right after this mission, Vega sends Doom Guy to retrieve Samuel Hayden, which will help them find the priest. So why not go after Samuel right now? Somehow the gore nest that kicked off the initial invasion of Earth is located in the middle of a nuclear reactor. I guess all the staff failed to notice a flesh growing on the walls in the days prior to the demons appearing. The existence of this reactor also makes me question one of the central pillars of Doom's new plot. Doom has something in common with Dead Space other than a mute man in space killing monsters. Both games present the idea that spacefaring humans are so hard up for energy that harnessing the clean burning fuel of pure evil is a smart idea. Humans tapped into Argent energy which comes from hell to power their civilization. But that was brought to an end when Doom Guy demolished all the machinery on Mars that did that and closed the portal. It seems like humans on Earth are getting by just fine with more traditional non-hell based power sources like this reactor.
Generator is overloading. I have marked your exit portal.
After overloading the generator, the place sets about exploding. Rather than create an exit portal right next to Doom Guy like he does on every single occasion other than this one, Vega creates one on the other end of the complex.
We will require assistance in order to locate the final Hell Priest. I believe Dr. Hayden can help us with our search.
No reason will be given for why Samuel Hayden will somehow know where to find the final Hell Priest. He just will.
I will calibrate the portal to the Ark's command station.
The human resistance, led by Samuel, is named Ark, because of course it would be.
Good news for the faithful.
The deceiver, Samuel Hayden, has fallen.
The Ark is no more.
Why would Ark have these hologram projectors installed in their base of operation when they only broadcast pro-hell propaganda? To get inside of the compound, Doom Guy has to destroy 2 tentacles blocking the door with cannons. Looking at it from here, he should be able to shoot both tentacles with the first gun, but he needs to switch to a different turret to shoot the other one for no real reason. And it goes without saying that Vega should be able to open a portal inside of the facility. He will do just that later after Doom Guy retrieves Samuel.
He is Doom.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a title. Marauders are the only enemy type in the game I have a real issue with. That issue being that they don't feel like Doom enemies. They're counter to how the game has trained you to fight every single enemy so far, requiring you to keep them at a certain distance in order to trigger a very briefly telegraphed attack which you can counter. Most of your weapons and weapon mods are completely useless against them, even weapons like the chainsaw and BFG, leaving only the super shotgun and ballista as the weapons that deal enough damage and attack quickly enough to deal with them. And trying to fight one while other demons are attacking you makes for a frustration-inducing headache, since Marauders take all of your attention to counter, while with other enemies you can use twitch reflexes to deal with multiple types at once.
The final priest is hiding in Sentinel Prime. The Khan Maker does not want him to be easily found. The only functional slip gate to Sentinel Prime is in the core of Mars, in the lost city of Hibeth.
Samuel Hayden has been inactive ever since being partially destroyed during the invasion, and the final Hell Priest was moved off-world only today. Yet without even being told anything about the present situation or their goals, Samuel instantly knows that the priest has been moved to a world called Sentinel Prime, and that the only gate that leads there is under Mars.
The BFG 10,000, designed by Dr. Samuel Hayden as part of the anti-demonic defense grid.
What exactly is on Mars at this point to protect with the BFG-10,000? The Argent Tower facility which produced Argent energy was destroyed, and why are the demons attacking Mars? Almost all of what's left of humanity is on Earth. Doomguy takes his soldier's plasma rifle when he already has a perfectly good one of his own. Doomguy isn't wearing a spacesuit. His forearms are exposed, yet he walks around in the vacuum of space around Mars no problem. And in anticipation of the arguments in the comments that I'm certain will boil down to, but Dartigan, he's Doomguy. He's too tough for the vacuum of space to kill. I present you with the fact that earlier in the game, toxic liquid and radiation could kill Doomguy. He had to use a radiation suit power-up to deal with it. If that could kill him, so should this. The BFG-10,000 seems like a weapon designed for taking out very large, well-protected targets. All of the demons attacking the Phobos base are regular-sized, meaning this gun that can shoot holes in planets is a bit overkill and largely useless. Humanity would be better off equipping more people with regular-sized BFGs considering how effective it is against demons. Samuel never pointed out where exactly on Mars the city of Abeth was located. Doomguy just takes aim at the surface and happens to get lucky. For all he knew, the city was on the other side of the planet and he might need to wait a couple hours for it to be in range.
The emergency exit portals should take you directly to the Mars surface facility.
The BFG-10,000 blew chunks of Mars into orbit. Doomguy teleports down to a facility that was supposed to be on the surface, but is now part of one of those chunks. So now he has to use an escape pod in the facility to get to the surface. Why would a station that was once on the surface have escape pods aimed downward? If Doomguy can load himself into a cannon and fire himself through a wall, then you might as well accept that he can't be killed. Which flies in the face of my experience playing this game on ultraviolence. Since Doomguy is jumping around rocks in Mars orbit, I keep expecting the lack of gravity to exert itself at some point. But it never kicks in. Doomguy is lucky the BFG-10,000 didn't destroy the city of Abeth and the Slipgate when he fired it at Mars. It appears the Khan Maker and the Sentinels were expecting Doomguy to show up here, the planet where they hid the final Hell Priest from him, and they don't try to stop him upon arrival either, even though they know why he's here. They roll out the welcome party even. No combat until the end of this level. It's something but platforming and reading lore to get all the game's backstory out of the way. More read and walk than rip and tear.
Guts. Huge guts. Kill them. Must kill them all.
I'm taking a sin off for referencing the cracked out Doom comic again, simply because it made me laugh. In the next game, I'm now expecting Doomguy to suddenly launch into a monologue about protecting the environment in between ripping cacodemons in half.
We found him in the valley, just outside the castle walls. He was badly wounded and wearing this.
This attempt at tying together the series storyline receives a sin, however, for being a complete mess. As it stands now, the chain of events goes in the order of Doom, Doom 2, Doom 64, Doom 2016, and now Doom Eternal, with no place for Doom 3. In Doom 64, Doomguy chose to stay in Hell to battle demons, eventually finding his way to Sentinel Prime where he was made a Night Sentinel after proving himself in the arena. The events of Doom and Doom 2 were about demonic invasions of Mars and Earth, just like the events of Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. But those previous invasions are never mentioned, presumably because this is some alternate dimension where the events of those two games never took place. I give them credit for trying, but this has all the hallmarks of Nintendo trying to crowbar the Legend of Zelda timeline into something that makes sense.
If you let the priest live, then I will return to you what the demons took from you so long ago.
Is Pet Rabbit? Doomguy speaks briefly during his flashbacks. They try to explain that his mental state has led him to no longer speak now, but he never spoke in the classic games either, so it makes for a weird excuse. The Gladiator is just a bigger version of the Marauder, has a shield and you can only attack him when his eyes glow green. After beating the Gladiator, the final Hell Priest appears in the middle of the arena for no other reason other than it makes it simpler for Doomguy to kill him. Why do they put themselves right in front of Doomguy and stand there begging for their life? So Vega can open portals to Sentinel Prime. What was the big deal over Abeth having the only portal that led here?
This stronghold will now serve as your prison. With no power, you can do no more harm to our mission.
The Khan Maker disables the Fortress of Doom, potentially stranding Doomguy there. If she could do that anytime she wanted, why wait until after Doomguy had killed all the Hell Priests? Had she done this earlier, before he acquired the Crucible from Hayden to power the station, it would have been over.
Now I will resurrect the icon of sin. He will devour Earth and leave your whole world in ruins.
It's like the Khan Maker wants Doomguy to stop her. She informs him that she plans to revive the Icon of Sin now that the Hell Priests have all been killed. She has to know that the Icon of Sin isn't unbeatable. Doomguy has beaten it before, and now he knows to go and retrieve his own Crucible sword to do so again.
I offer you a gift. Take it. It will give you strength. Help you on your journey.
The hooded figure who placed Doomguy into the Divinity Machine and enhanced his abilities back when Doomguy was a Night Sentinel is supposed to be mysterious, but you lose ambiguity when you cast the same voice actor for 2 roles and even have them repeat the same lines. This guy is voiced by the same guy as Samuel Hayden. Since we can assume Doom 2 is still canon, how did Doomguy stop the Icon of Sin in that game without a Crucible Blade?
Once there, you will not be able to leave on your own, but Vega can create an exit portal for you. That is why you must bring Vega through the void with you to Erdak.
Understood. I'm detaching myself from the ship's systems.
Vega can now be carried around with Doomguy, completely functional despite the lack of any cooling or power systems. Look, I know this sin is annoying, but Doom 2016 set up Vega's technological limitations. He required so much power to run that to open a portal back to hell he had to be shut off.
The Khan Maker needs Earth and its souls. Her world is dying. The culling allows her people to replenish their resources and survive. As you save your world, you put hers in peril.
If you pay attention to the lore, you learn that the Makers, who are sort of like post-technological singularity angels, also dipped into the power of Hell to power their civilization. I'm starting to think the developers are signaling modern geopolitics, and Hell is just a stand-in for the Middle East. Samuel keeps going over all the lore of Hell and the Makers with Doomguy and how they made a bargain to work together, but Doomguy would already know about all of this. He was made a Night Sentinel and fought in the Hell Crusades until they were betrayed and destroyed after finding out the truth. They were trying to stop the production of Argent energy being sent to the Makers when they were wiped out.
The tower is held aloft by 2 enslaved titans. Break the chains, dropping into the well below.
For something so incredibly important, they built this place with a major design flaw that could have been avoided.
You cannot stop the procession.
Actually, it turns out he can pretty easily.
We will not be able to control it! No!
Don't all of you try and stop him at once. The Khan Maker only has massive power after all.
I can see now. Am I the father of Hayden?
There's a hint that Vega might be the Father, the artificial intelligence that is basically God to the Makers that disappeared some time ago. If that is the case, then I wish the writers of the next Doom game luck in explaining why Samuel Hayden ordered Doomguy to destroy Vega for extra power back in Doom 2016.
She is invulnerable when she has the orb within her chest. Once removed, her defenses will be down.
According to Samuel, the Khan Maker is invulnerable while she has the orb inside of her chest, yet she dies before the orb leaves her. I guess it was just a lucky break that the portal Doomguy takes back to Earth places him near where the Icon of Sin was sent. This is a 2-part boss fight where both sections are identical to each other. The first half has Doomguy blowing off the 8 pieces of armor covering the Icon of Sin's body while fending off constantly spawning demons. The second half has Doomguy destroying the 8 pieces of its body under that armor while fending off constantly spawning demons. Also, I suppose the Icon of Sin's legs don't count since you don't have to bother shooting those, and John Romero's head is nowhere to be found inside of it. Can we stop beating around the bush and just call these past 2 Doom games a soft reboot of the series despite the devs trying to connect them? The games revolve around demon invasions of the same planets in Doom 1 and Doom 2, and end with the same final bosses. Doomguy has to be having a serious case of deja vu.
Guts. Huge guts.